Aren't you tired of being stuck in the past? Are you tired of not being able to live a fresh new life just because something happened in the past and you can get over it? You can get out of it. You're just trying to live a new life, but this old me, this old traumatized version of yourself, it just kicks back in. And at some point, this could go to the point that you don't even try anything anymore because you're so sure you're gonna fail to yourself and you're just gonna go back crawling to the same old. So what to even try? Well, in this video specifically, I'm addressing a suggestion of said day that said, can you talk about recurring negative thoughts from the past and that affect the present and the future? A negative thought that came from an experience and it was reinforced over time, creating a negative self-perception or belief. And how can we stop giving those certain thoughts power over our lives? Yeah, well, that's a fantastic question. And I'm going to give you not one, I'm going to give you 5 solutions for this in different levels. So hopefully this will address any possibility of anyone there. As an example, and to give context to this, not to make it so abstract, let's think about someone who had a traumatized experience in a relationship. So you had a relationship with someone and things went wrong. And you feel that you still, now when you go for a new relationship, you are still holding to something, kind of a burden. And you don't want to, but it's just there. And you cannot move forward. Well, this is very normal, actually. So the reason why this happens is because in a way that we don't notice, we are reinforcing the very same thing we're trying to get rid of. That's the main problem when we come to the situation. We don't notice, but we are feeding this energy back again. So it's crucial to understand that, because if you try to let go of the past and it doesn't happen, be sure that it's because when you try to let go of the past, you're also giving it more value. You're giving it your attention, and that is already creating the memory and the reliving the situation all over again. If you do that a lot, it becomes just a habit, and at some point it takes something to take that problem out of your mind. So let's talk about the 5 techniques. First one, I am a breathing coach too. I've been working with the breath for a long time, and it's an incredible resource. So the first strategy that I would suggest you is to, and this will work very well for people who don't have much experience with meditation, or especially when you're in a moment where you're emotionally charged, like this past is coming back at you and you feel that you're in a sort of like episode. When things feel out of control and then you feel that you have much calm and attention to actually find new solutions. Well, you find yourself out of control and just reliving this past, this traumatic past. It is very useful to understand that this is part of a pattern. There are certain kind of thoughts. At this point, you may know them very well. This kind of things you tell yourself. But think about your body. Because in order to feel an emotion, you need to have a physical reaction. So you may have this thought, but in order to feel sad, angry, to feel resentment, guilt, to feel procrastination in the sense of just apathy, all that, we're talking about physical sensations, if you think about it. So here comes a great opportunity, because there's a physiological pattern to this mental pattern we were discussing. So the mental pattern may seem too elusive and too complex and abstract and psychological to deal with, but you can deal with the physiological aspect of that pattern very easily. How? There is a breath pattern for every emotion. So yes, if you change your breathing pattern, you will change your emotion. And try this if you don't believe me. Or you can observe yourself and you will notice that when you're sad, people are breathing certain ways. I'm not going to tell you how, because you have to find out. You don't want to put a name on it or tell you how it's going to be. Just notice that when you feel happy and content, your breathing is in one way. And when you feel upset, or when you feel sad, or when you feel frustrated, or when you feel anger, or when you feel any of that, your breathing is also more like blocked or forced or desperate, which are all symbols of stress in your body. And this is where calming down your breath could already, from the beginning, start de-energizing this pattern of thinking. So it's not that just by breathing, you're going to let go to the whole traumatic thing that happened in your past, but it will certainly loosen up things for you to start dealing with the situation. So especially if you, right now this is really hitting you hard and you don't know what to do, I would suggest you to start breaking that pattern from the physiological aspect, because it's simple and straightforward. So start breathing easy, nice, deep. Come on, let's do it now. Why not? Just inhale and relax when you breathe in. So you stretch your breath and you make sure you open it to top. And then when you breathe out, you're just letting it happen. You're not even pushing the breath out. You find that point where your breath just naturally bounces and it goes back without any effort. So stretching a little bit your breath and making it relatively slow and effortless. Effortless is a key word in here. So if you do that, you're already de-energizing the whole thing. So give that a try. The second strategy, it is more psychological, but I'm going to suggest a more playful way. So it's kind of a creative way. So you could pick a notebook, and as you know, the thoughts appear and the thoughts create like a chain of reaction in you, right? So physiological, you can clean up the mess a little bit, but still the thought may still come back, right? So how to dismantle this thought? You can also go in this way. So this thought may be, for example, and this person rejected me, and I don't feel that I can be loved, and I don't feel that I can love, or I don't feel that I'm good enough, or imagine that it's something like that. There's a specific thought about it. What you can do is all these thoughts, the same as the breathing pattern, all these thoughts are going to be constrained and blocked, and they're going to be very tense and specific. So what I'm going to be suggesting you is to, as we were playing out with the breath, to loosen up that blocked energy, to do the same thing with your thoughts. How you do that? Well, I'm not suggesting you to go for positive thinking like in the law of attraction and going for affirmations and all that, although that may work for the same principle that I'm saying now. Is that so pick a notebook and start playing around different perspectives about the same situation. So if someone left you, you could start reasoning, how was that feeling for other people? How would you feel if you had at the moment were at the top of your best and when you were really good and you were strong and that bad news happened to you? How would you have reacted? Or you can think about, how would one of the people who inspire you the most, one of these top people, how would they react to that situation if they were living your experience? Some people will take the Buddha or Jesus Christ or anyone, but just pick someone you really admire and you think, okay, that person is strong, because that person, you are projecting on that person your own values. So there's always like important things to look at for and feel inspired by the people who inspire you, because you will realize, oh, they did it, I can do it too. At some point, that's going to be translating. So play around your thoughts, but your thoughts are a fixed idea like, this happened to me and I cannot be loved, or I'm going to screw it, or I'm not good enough. Well, that's a very fixed piece of information that is actually not true. It's just a point of view. It can't be true. You never have good enough information to go to the judgment and statement, I'm not good enough. Or so you can play around the variables like a scientist and say, okay, this person let me go. But you may start thinking, okay, this person let me go, not because of me, because something was happening in that person's life. And this person wasn't ready to have a relationship. So it wasn't you. There was nothing wrong with you. Actually, You are just a pattern. This other person is a pattern. And sometimes they don't match. And the desperation of trying to match is a sign of not real love, actually. So whenever you find yourself trying to force the situation, just notice, okay, no, that's fear. That's not love. So yeah, sometimes the same person, you will find someone else and you're a perfect match, and you try to hit someone else who is not a perfect match, and you will suffer. Both of you will suffer in different ways. So what I'm suggesting you is to start shifting and giving yourself different reasons about the same situation. So you're playing out with your perspective about the situation. You can tell the story in different ways. Well, I hope you get the idea. So it is to think out of the box. It is to localize this pattern of thought that is this negative thought and start playing around with it, because it's not true. I can promise you that. You tell yourself, no, this happened, but I'm telling you, no, that's an assumption. That is a judgment. It's just a decision on how to see a situation. So you can always play around with it and completely open to a new dimension and find new solutions. That again, in a different level, is going to free up a lot of energy. So it may work better or not, depending on what kind of type of person you are and in which moment you are and how much stuff like this you did before. But if you're able to play around different scenarios, different characters in your mind, role playing, things like that, you could certainly start loosening it up, and sometimes can create a very positive breakthrough. So this could, again, create a long-term solution in some cases, but not always. So you may find yourself, okay, I did these two things, still doesn't work. Well, here's the third thing you can try. So far we've been talking about how we are dealing with this problem, dealing with this stuck emotion, dealing with this frustration, dealing with this past. But there is another thing that also works very well to de-energize that is to look away. So if someone comes to you and say, yeah, this thing happened in the past, and you say, come on, let's have a good time, and say, yeah, but this thing happened in the past, you realize how this person is actively going back to that past and preventing that person to live in the moment. You be on the side of this good friend. You may tell them, just don't. Let's just focus on being here and now and having a good time. Let's watch the movie. Let's go out. And the person will be, yeah, but my mind comes back. Okay, fine, just do that. That's another way of de-energizing this past memory. Just a mental habit. Without noticing it, you have been reinforcing it for a long time. So now it's a habit. But habits can be changed. It's just that you need to be smart about it, not just pushy or forcing or getting to this hype. Like, I'm going to change this year. I'm going to finally do sport and I'm going to finally do the right thing. No, don't do that. That's going to fail. You need to be smart. You need to observe yourself as if you were a scientist, observing yourself and noticing, this is what I think, this is what I feel. And when I try to change myself, this is what happens. And these are possibilities that I could use still. So in this strategy, it will be the simple choose on every moment to stay here and enjoy. So of course, I will say more actively, let's say go for a walk and tell yourself, I want to be here, I want to be now. And your mind will jump back into the past, but still just every time you correct it back, this thing start losing energy. In that decision you're making right now, you're applying your freedom. You're applying your creativity. You're applying mindfulness, actually. You are living in the now. And that's an exercise. Some teachers talk about this being present here and now, something you don't have to do anything. But the truth is that, and this is something they say most of the time, it's just people, I don't think, really get the idea. You have to be doing it all the time. So it doesn't look like sitting meditation where you're doing something focusing, but you're doing the same. You're just doing it in a different kind of steps or different kind of bites, but it's the same. So this strategy, you could sit and try to meditate. I strongly suggest always, for if you like this approach of focusing and letting go of distractions, I always recommend The Mind Illuminated by Chula Dasa or The Attention Revolution by Alan Wallace. These two great books that will tell you step by step how to actually master this approach. And by being able to rest your mind in something specific in front of you here and now, you will absolutely let go of your past. And I can swear this works to a level that if you manage to you give it a try, you will you will be preaching it to your family and your friends and to everyone, and making YouTube videos saying, "Wow, this you don't know what you're missing." It's like a mental exercise kind of thing, but the truth is that you step by step succeed. In the beginning, it looks like your monsters are too big, but again, these monsters are reinforced unconsciously by yourself. You have the power, and every time you can't, you're just giving power. That is the thought system. You can absolutely. I did it. You can too. Anyone can. You can completely get rid of your past and live and experience this moment fully with freshness. It just may require some dismantling of this pattern of being stuck in the past. So the third strategy is to go back to the present moment, to go back to one object, to go back to watching this video without thinking about anything, to watch a movie, to listen to music and just listen to music. That's the kind of approach. That's the third approach. The fourth approach is a bit deeper. It kind of implies that you already have certain kind of skill with what I just mentioned. And when you are able to stabilize a little bit in here and now, so these thoughts may not be already causing you so much trouble, so much unconscious emotional patterns. At that point, and especially if you're a good meditator, you can start being able to observe your thoughts in real time. And something very, very important and relevant happens when you're able to do that, is that you start noticing how your thoughts are like voices. They are like things that happen and disappear. So it's not like this is the reality and it's there. No, it is just an opinion, an opinion that also goes away. So if you would be able to observe your thoughts long enough, even when you're having horrible thoughts, you will notice that the thought is doing that, it's appearing and it's disappearing. Yeah, and as far as it appears, it creates this emotional reaction in you. But if you pay a lot of attention, at some point you will start noticing that actually there's this all ups and downs to it. Like it's happening. I'm thinking this thought and I'm not thinking. I'm thinking there's this expansion and contraction, as my teacher says all the time. And you can start noticing that. But you need to be good at observing at this point and have certain kind of neutral standpoint. Otherwise, this won't work. Go for the previous exercises. But with this one, you will start noticing that these thoughts are just like the pixels on the screen you're watching right now. They just come and go. There is just information in your perception. So when that happens, it comes an insight. If you do it long enough, and I say this may happen right away. For some people, it works a little bit right away. Like you can see your thoughts as clothes passing by, and yeah, it's a bit of a release. But in this specific topic, it may not be enough. You may need to be more consistent with it to really see it. And at some point, these thoughts may cross your mind and you won't have an emotional reaction to them. So these thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I won't be able to love anyone again, or things are always the same, what is the point? Any thought that normally gets you, if you get the habit of observing your thoughts, you will just notice at some point they come, they go, and they go. So if you don't keep thinking them, they just go. So you set up yourself already kind of out of your mind. You set a lot of energy in the observation rather in the thinking. That will absolutely create a breakthrough on how you experience your thoughts. And at that point, this is the first point where you will certainly will have disempower your thoughts. But in this case, you're facing them very darkly. So try it out. But normally, if you don't have a very stable attention, it may not work. That's okay. But some days may work. So give it a try, because one day is going to be a very powerful tool anyway. So just observe your mind and try not to be emotionally triggered or to being carried away by the trains of thoughts. Just let them happen, let them go. If you're able to observe your thoughts like that for a while, you will start finding yourself appearing in a different kind of level of the experience, a more profound and permanent level of your experience that is there no matter which thought. It could be a beautiful thought about a beautiful experience. It could be a bad thought about a bad experience. At some point, you notice, okay, that is that. It just everything comes and goes. And this is the basis of Buddhism, actually. But not only Buddhism, many spiritual paths. This is the thing that if you get it, it will set you free. So the fifth strategy, it goes even a little deeper, which is once you already reach this level of understanding and detachment from your own mental activity, from your own emotions, your body, and everything, and you are calm and you are not reacting to it so much, it may still there. So the only way of completely, fully transcending it is based on this subtle observation of thoughts I was just mentioning. You will start noticing as thoughts appear and disappear, appears and disappears. You will start noticing that there is a background that never appears and never disappears. It's just always there. It's you. It's right now. It's always this awareness. It is the quality of being alive. As simple as that. I say this because sometimes awareness seems to be such a elusive word like intellectual awareness. Well, I have another word for it. Peace and love. That's how it feels. That is pretty more straightforward to me. It is like that. So it's not just, am I aware of this thought? Am I aware? That's all cool. That's all great. And it works for many people. But if you ask me personally, I have to be honest, that it doesn't get close to what it is. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's a full dive experience of contentment, joy, peace, excitement, love. So at least when you're able to differentiate these two layers of thoughts coming and going, mental activity and emotional activity, and your body activity and perception, but at the same time, you're able to discern there is another layer of you that never changes. You're not to feel it, which it will look experientially like a deep rest, like a background sense of everything is moving, my life is going good, my life is going bad, things happen, I have this thought, I have this other. But everything seems to happen in a context. When you feel that context and this coming and going, not just of thoughts, but everything in your experience, included what you think you are. Your sense of, I'm sad because that happened, the sense of, I feel apathy, I feel anger, I feel resentment, I feel guilt. All of that still is another thing that appears and disappears. So when you're able to discern these two levels, you're set for the ultimate freedom. And that is the one that is permanent. And that is the one that will completely set you free. All those, the ones that previous mentioned, they said a partial freedom. They all have the chance to get you to this place, but this very specific characteristic of not being attached to your personality, to your ego, as someone would say. And that quality is enlightenment. So we've been sweeping through from a mental episode to enlightenment. So, of course, there are different gradations, and I understand this will feel difficult. That's why I'm here to empower you and to tell you how to do it exactly, because you can do it. I don't know how far you feel from it. There is always a solution. That's what I'm going for. All these graded, different kind of level solution, different kind of gears, because that's how I make it all the time. Yeah, sometimes things happen, and I also have a past, let's say, and I feel sometimes that there's something coming at me, like something will start thinking that, oh, this other person has a bad intention on me and I should react to that. I see that coming. And sometimes it may get me a bit nervous, but I just let it go by going through all this kind of path of just when you get to do it very good for a long time, it happens almost like muscle memory. The situation comes and you dodge the whole thing very easily. So at some point, and that's what I'm hoping that I'm conveying to you, that this possibility, it is for you. You may have found it in certain degrees, and that's okay, but I'm here to tell you, no, you can live it fully all the time, always, no matter what. So whenever this chain of your past and your thoughts about who you are and what you do, if you go deep into yourself, you will see it coming and going. And as far as you're seeing it coming and going, you're not attached to it. So it will come and go like a wave. It won't get, your mind won't get obsessively stuck into thought, trying to repeat that experience. Because if you don't try, you don't think, it disappears. Does this make sense? I hope it does. I hope you feel it. I hope you feel that that's the way anyone has and anyone will, and you will free yourself. And know that when you start doing this and you start succeeding with this, and you get all these tools, at some point, you know, you're going to be fine, no matter what. You know, you can discern what is you really and what is this mind, this body, these emotions, this story of me. You can notice the difference. But you need to relax and you need to be very specific in the way that I was suggesting on how to go little by little into noticing what is real and what is not real. When you detach from everything, there is no other way for any other human. You wake up to the same joy the Buddha felt, the same joy that Jesus Christ, the same love that Jesus Christ was sharing, the same aliveness. And that is your nature. And living in any other way is just an unfortunate mistake. It's just a mistake. It will disappear in the moment that you just let it go. But for the time being, it will create suffering. So I hope you have this standard of happiness and you're really giving it a try, because as you know, many people don't even know they can be so happy and satisfied all the time. It's not even in their imagination that that's even possible. So if you get this, welcome, my friend. I'm here for you.